ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासा ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमो नलिननेत्राय वेणुवाद्यविनोदिने राधाधरसुधापान शालिने वनमालिने महाभावस्वरूपास्त्वं कृष्णप्रियवरीयसी प्रेमभक्तिप्रदे देवी श्रीराधिका त्वं नमोस्तुते। Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 2, Contents of Gita summarized. Text number 23. Nainam Chindanti Shastrani Nainam Dahati Pavakaha Nachainam Kledayantyapo न शोषयति मारुतः नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो न शोषयति मारुतः नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो न शोषयति मारुतः नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो न शोषयति मारुतः नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो न शोषयति मारुतः
नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि
नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि
नैनं दहति पावकः
नैनं दहति पावकः
चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो
न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो
न शोषयति मारुतः
न शोषयति मारुतः नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो न शोषयति मारुतः न never enam this soul chindanti can cut to pieces shastrani weapons no never enam this soul dahati burns pavakaha fire na never cha also enam this soul kledayantyapi moisten apaha water na never shoshayati dries marutaha wind. Translation and purport by His Loving Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, or withered by the wind. Purport. All kinds of weapons, swords, flame weapons, rain weapons, tornado weapons, etc., are unable to kill the spirit soul. It appears that there were many kinds of weapons made up of earth, water, air, ether, etc., in addition to the modern weapons of fire. Even the nuclear weapons of the modern age are classified as fire weapons. But formerly, there were other weapons made up of all different types of material elements. Fire weapons were counteracted by water weapons, which are now unknown to the modern science. Nor do modern scientists have a knowledge of tornado weapons. Nonetheless, the soul can never be cut into pieces nor annihilated by any number of weapons, regardless of scientific devices. The Mayavadi cannot explain how the individual soul came into existence simply by ignorance and consequently became covered by the illusory energy. Nor was it ever possible to cut the individual souls from the original Supreme Soul. Rather, the individual souls are eternally separated parts of the Supreme Soul, because they are atomic individual souls eternally, Sanatana. They are prone to be covered by the illusory energy, and thus they become separated from association of the Supreme Lord, just as the sparks of a fire, although one in quality with the fire, are prone to be extinguished when out of the fire. In the Varaha Puran, the living entities are described as separated parts and parcels of the Supreme. They are eternally so, according to Bhagavad Gita also. So even after being liberated from illusion, the living entities remain a separate identity, as is evident from the teachings of the Lord to Arjuna. Arjuna became liberated by the knowledge received from Krishna, but he never became one with Krishna. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadandi Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guruna Vaishnavancha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam savadhutam varijanasahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha Tamaom Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindobhya Yevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Sri Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupasvarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Anandalila Vigrahaya Hemangadivya Chabhisundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Shri Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabho Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayantyapo, no shoshayati marutaha. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. So in this particular verse, Lord is clearly describing that soul is totally different from the material elements. It is not made up of either of this element, which may be the gross or maybe the subtle. Any gross thing can be destroyed by any kind of a weapon, or even few subtle things also, which are not that gross, they can also get counteracted by the another element. But soul is not like that. It's totally different from these 5 prominent material elements: earth, water, ether, fire and air. Then what it is exactly? Because generally Mayavadis, they are not able to explain this soul means what it exactly. And because there are no Mayavadis at all today, because Mayavadi had some philosophy, according to that they speak. But nowadays there are people, they claim themselves as a Mayavadi, but they don't have any philosophy. They themselves know the whole Sharirik Bhasha, what Shankaracharya has given on the Bhagavad Gita. What he exactly wants to establish. Today's Mayavadis, they are unaware of that also. And that's why I just said this age of Kali, which has a 4 prominent, or 5 actually, 5 prominent defects in all human beings. Because any procedure you take for the self-realization in this age of Kali is very difficult to practice. Because Kali is Sarva Sadhana Badaka. This age of Kali creates hindrance in all sort of spiritual practices. It's very difficult. Because There are so many sects, they claim something, but they do not follow that. And as Prabhupada says here in this second paragraph of this purport, that the Mayavadi cannot explain how the individual soul came into existence simply by ignorance and consequently became covered by the illusory energy. First of all, it's very difficult to understand what is meant by soul, what it is made up of. Second thing, that how it came into existence, and if it is in existence, then why it is get covered by the illusion. Because sometimes these Mayavadis, they claim that danda dharana matrena naro narayan bhavet. Simply by taking sannyas, ekadanda sannyas, any common human being can become Narayana. Actually, the word Narayana means Nara Ayana. Ayana means who gives shelter. To whom? To jivas. Narayana means the person who gives shelter to all the jivas, living entities. And they are different from him. It's not possible for me to give shelter to myself. Can I say that I'm giving shelter to me or myself? Can't. Because there is a difference. And that's why in further chapters of Bhagavad Gita, Lord explains the individuality between soul and super soul. And it is clearly explained in 15th chapter, which is known as a Purushottam Yoga, where that Mamayavasho Jivaloke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha, all part and parcels. Like these jivas, they are part and parcels of the Supreme Personality of a Godhead. And they are eternally part and parcels. That's why Prabhupada in this purport, he says that even in the Varaha Puran, the living entities are described as a separated parts and parcel of the Supreme. They are eternally so. It's not that by gaining a knowledge, that soul can become a super soul. Why Shankaracharya preached about this? That we have to understand. Because most of the Mayavadi school, they follow this philosophy. They say that after gaining a particular knowledge, the soul can become one with Narayana. What is that oneness with the Narayana? That one has to understand. Even in Brihad Narayana Upanishad, when you read that whole Upanishad, at the end, in the Falashruti also, it is explained that if someone chants this particular Upanishada, then he Narayana Sayujyam Avapniyat. He attains the Sayujya of Narayana Sayujya. He becomes one with the Lord. What is that oneness? Even the Vaishnava Siddhanta it has given. But what is that oneness?
You're asking, what is the oneness?
Yeah, no, I'm just explaining that. That question is for myself. What is that oneness? Because it is explained, if you chant this mantra, this Narayana Upanishad, then you get this kind of a liberation, that you will become one with the Narayana. So in this Sayujya also there are two kinds. That is explained in Brihad Narayana Upanishad. It says that to be at one place with the Lord in His own abode, that also known as a Sayujya sometimes. And second thing, when you possess the qualities like a Lord, and which is that most prominent quality? That is the magnanimity of the Lord. Lord is magnanimous, He is Udar. When someone becomes His devotee and he dedicates his whole life for the service of the Lord, And what's the best service that Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita? That we can render to their Lordship is to preach the message that He has given to us. So when one attains that knowledge through which one can attract other living entities for the service of their Lordship, that stage is also explained there as a sayuja. That one has to understand. And this sort of a liberation that one gets when one renders service to their Lordship, when one chants this particular prayer. But Mayavadi, they take other meaning of this word. And they said that living entity get merged into Lord's body and he becomes one with the Lord. He never becomes one with the Lord. Because there is always difference in both existence. The existence of Lord and existence of living entity. Because the main and eternal relationship with the Lord is that we are His servants. So all the prayers written by all our great devotees, if you find all these prayers, they explain these same 5 things in their prayers. The first thing, our own condition. Who are we? How we are full of ignorance. How we got illusioned by the Lord's material energy. The next, how His material energy is powerful. And to get rid of that material energy, what we need is Lord's shelter. If you read all the prayers from the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam up to the last canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, what it has given? The same 5 subject matter what has explained in Bhagavad Gita, the same theme is there in all the prayers, if you read carefully. They give knowledge about these 5 things only. Because this is what a real knowledge one has to gain to perfect his own spiritual life. Because materially, no one is getting attracted towards this knowledge. Because this knowledge has given to the person who is aspiring to take shelter of their Lordship. If somebody is not, then they never touch Bhagavad Gita. Because in the first, where the Lord starts giving His teachings, the first and foremost thing He says that you are a fool. And in modern society, people are so much puffed up with their so-called positions, so-called knowledge, and so-called status that they don't accept it. If someone comes and in the first sentence he says you that you are rascal, you are fool, are you going to listen that person? No ways. But he comes and glorifies you. Even he talks some bullshit, you will sit and hear to that. Why? Because he has puffed your ego already. He has pumped enough air to your ego, it has blown up. But in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita itself, Lord, what He does, He puts a pin on your ego balloon and it gets burst out. Ashochananva shochastvam pragyavadansha bhasase gatasuna gathanshusan nanashochanti pandita. You speaks like a pandita means what? Very politely and in very sophisticated language, Lord has given a big blow to Arjuna. And He says, you speaks like a pandita. What does mean that? अरे बहुत पंडित जैसी बात करता है means you are not a pandit, you are a fool. So the first and foremost thing that one has to understand that we are we going to accept that? No. He said, how you can say us fool? Who has given you that authority to say? And that's why it's very difficult for today's society to accept the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Because since the childhood, they are trained up to pump their ego rather than subduing their own ego. You go from lower KG up to the PhD. Each and every year your balloon gets pumped with the ego. You get different designation, different sorts of a knowledge which takes you away from your own spiritual identity. The own what we can say. English has very limited words. So, okay, leave it. So it's very difficult to identify our own existence in this material world. Who we are, what we are, and where we have to go. And just to make it clear, in this first, what we can say, group of verses where Lord has started His teachings to Arjuna, He is clearing doubt about Himself, means about Arjuna, that who is he? Why he has to understand about himself first? Because when he surrendered to the Lord, he said, Karpanya dosha patsava prachami tvam dharma sammuda cheta. I'm totally withered now and I don't know what to do and how to do. And I really wanted to know what is beneficial for me. And Prabhupada says, I think it's in a 13th or in the purport of 13th verse, Lord says to Arjuna that in the purport Prabhupada says that there is always difference. The individual fragmented spirit soul is represented by the Arjuna and the supreme soul is personality of a Godhead Krishna. They are not on the same level. As it will be apparent in the beginning of 4th chapter, if Arjuna is on the same level with the Krishna and Krishna is not superior to Arjuna, when their relationship of instructor and instructed becomes meaningless. If both of them are deluded by the illusory energy, Maya, then there is no need of one being the instructor and the other the instructed. Such an instruction would be useless because in the clutches of Maya, no one can be an authoritative instructor. Under the circumstances, it is admitted that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord, superior in position to the living entity, Arjuna, who is a forgetful soul deluded by Maya. And this purport, Prabhupada says that the soul, the individual soul and the Lord, their atomic individuals, the individual souls are eternally individual and they are prone to be covered by the illusory energy, and thus they become separated from the association of the Supreme Lord. Just as the sparks of fire, although one in quality with the fire, are prone to be extinguished when out of the fire. So why the soul gets covered when it goes away from their lordship? Like a spark of a fire, if you take it away from the fire, then it gets extinguished. Then it loses its existence. It loses its identity. Like that, when soul gets away from their lordship, when he leaves his service and go away, then he gets covered by the illusory energy and he forgets his identity, his own existence. And to make that clear, Lord is giving this knowledge from verse 13 to 31 or 32, that what is soul? Who are you? You should not think yourself as a body. The elements which are the source to make each and everything visible in this world, all the material elements, soul is not made of that. Soul is totally different. And what is that? He says that it is Sarvagata Sthanur Achala. It goes everywhere. If it get covers with the material element, means get covered with the body, material body, then it has its own restriction, it can't go anywhere. But in his original existence, it can go anywhere and everywhere. Because being a part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of a Godhead, it has all the same qualities as Lord possesses. But there is a quantitative difference. That we have to understand. And this is what prominently explained in our Sampradaya, Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, where there is a duality between Lord and living entity. In other three Sampradayas, there is a little bit foggy idea about this. But Madhvacharya has given a clear-cut distinction between Lord and himself, Lord and living entities. Sometimes Madhvacharya don't accept even qualitative equality with the Lord of living entities. He said, no ways, you can't compare the qualities of the living entities and Lord, they can't be same. They are totally different. And that's why you see whenever his pictures are there, he is like this. There are two, the living entity and Supreme Personality of a Godhead. Hari Sarvottama, Lord Sri Hari, Lord Sri Krishna is Supreme Personality of a Godhead. And when one understands that, then that becomes a platform to understand the further knowledge about their Lordship. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Like in one of the Upanishads, there is a story. Once, what's the name of Prahlad Maharaj's son? Virochan? The father of Bali Maharaj? Virochan. Yeah? Virochan and Indra. Both they went to us, Brihaspati, and they asked, they went to Vasishtha and they asked, give us the topmost knowledge. We want that. So Vasishtha, they said that there are some cows, you take them for a grazing, render some service to them, and then come back, and then I will give you knowledge. Then Indra just submissively accepted that. He took the cows and he went for grazing. And Virochan said, what the hell you are telling me? You are asking me, the king of Asuras, to go and graze these cows, and that's of yours, not mine. Forget. I'm not going to do that. If I have to do that, I will do it at my place only. Why? I have to come here and ask you, and you gave me the order, and then I have to go. Just forget. Just tell me what is the truth. What is the knowledge? I wanted to know it. Right now. Then he was just quiet. He took out his sword and he said, now it is in my hand. I don't want that this weapon should take away your head from your body. So just give me that knowledge. Then Vasishtha said, okay, you want that in this way, so I will give you. He said, just whatever you see in the water, in oil, whatever see, that is supreme. He said, that's it. For this much you said that we have to go and graze cows and everything. And just he left. So he went and he saw in the water what he saw. He saw his own self. And he thought that it's me only, I am the supreme. I have to bother about it, I have to run around here and there. It's me only. And that's it. So all asuras, what they become self-centered. And they thought that I am the supreme. Ishwaroham, aham bhogi, siddhoham balavan sukhi. So that's the way of life I should live. And they followed that. And here Indra, he went, he grazed the cows, he came back and he asked. Then Vasishtha, he told him the same thing. Whatever you see in the water, what you see in the oil, that's the supreme. And Indra realized that the water, the synonym for water in Sanskrit is jivana, life. The life of everyone is water. And one has to take shelter of that. And ultimately, who is that? From where it emanates? That everything comes from the Lord's lotus feet. So ultimately, he understood that taking shelter of their Lordship is the ultimate knowledge. And he followed that. So like that, knowledge is same. But the way you wanted to accept it, like that it gets revealed to you. So the asuras, they use same knowledge. They give their own interpretation and they use it for their own sense gratification. And devotees, they use the same knowledge and that helps them to take the shelter at the lotus feet of their Lordship. Same 700 shlokas are there. All different sorts of knowledge and philosophies present on the earth are based on this only. And they have their own interpretation for that. Mayavadis, they have their own interpretation for that. Vishishtadvaitvadi, they have their own interpretation for that. Shuddhadvaitvadis, they have their own interpretation on that. Dvaitavadi, they have their own interpretation on that. Base is Bhagavad Gita. But when one's really surrenders to a genuine spiritual master, then he really gets revealed the essence of that knowledge. And that's why giving all this knowledge, at the end, Lord says to Arjuna, Yatha ichchasi tatha kuru. I am not forcing you to do this or that. It's you who has to take a decision. I have given what is good for you, but now it's up to you. And that's what the great boon that Lord has given to us, which may makes us to take shelter at His lotus feet or may makes us to go away from His lotus feet. Knowledge is same. But the way you wanted to accept it, it depends upon that. In Bhagavad Gita 4th chapter, Lord says that ye yathamam prapadyate tam sataiva bhajamyaham. The way you wanted to accept it, that way that gets revealed to you. And in the purport, Prabhupada says, Lord is reciprocally respondent. The way you wanted to take shelter, like that He gives ways and facilities so that you can achieve that thing. So ultimately it's you who has to take a call. Everything is there, Lord has given you. He has given you this material world where you can enjoy full of your satisfaction, which is not able to attain, at least in this material world. And second way, with a full surrender, the same things you can use it for the Lord's satisfaction. So it's up to you. And that's why Lord clearly explains in this first teachings to Arjuna that what is the real identity of living entity, what he is. Like when you go out to the market and buy the things, before buying that you know what it is actually, what is its purpose and how it can fulfill my purpose, and then you buy that things. Like that, first, who are you? That Lord has made clear. And if you know clear that who am I now, then what are my activities? And what will give me a genuine satisfaction? What is the real purpose of my existence? Then he explains it in further. And Prabhupada says in his purport that this knowledge is the first step of self-realization. Understanding ourselves non-different from, different from our body is the first step of our self-realization. And that's why you can see even in the last purpose of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada gives more emphasis on the same theme what he has explained in this 13 to 31, near about 28 to 18 to 19 verses, what he has explained. The same thing he is carrying on there. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, you will find quotes from the Bhagavad Gita that Prabhupada has given. About what? About we are not this body, but spirit, soul. What is our identity? And what we consider Chaitanya Charitamrita as the PhD of our Sampradaya. And in that PhD, Prabhupada is quoting the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. Why is it so? Because even the topmost knowledge level also, there are chances to slip down from our own identity. That's why again and again it is explained that one has to understand that he is not his body but spirit, soul, totally different from the mind, intelligence and false ego. Because ego is the last layer which can drag us back into this material existence. It's very subtle. It's very subtle. In the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when it is explained, the layers of each material elements, how one has to cross them and then he can go beyond this material world. Like the first layer of earth. On this earth, the 10 times of earth, there is a layer of What's the next element? Water. 10 times of water is fire. 10 times of fire is air. 10 times of air is ether. And then mind, intelligence, and finally false ego. So try to understand how many layers we have to cross and go. And they are getting more and more thicker. So do you think it's possible? By our own endeavor we can do this? And that's why in the beginning itself Arjuna had shown that how to cross that. By taking shelter of spiritual master. Accepting ourselves as fool, ignorant, and helpless. Then only it is possible. Because it's Lord Himself, He can do this, not we. And that's why there are prayers in whole of Srimad Bhagavatam. With the prayers only you can get rid of all these layers. So first our own identity, who we are, then what is this material world, how to get out of that, what are the ways, and ultimately there is only one process, that is taking shelter at the lotus feet of their Lordship. Because that only can pierce this layer of material world, and that Lord has shown in His expansion or His incarnation as a Vamana. By His toe only He pierced this layer of Brahmanda, and then Ganges came down. So it's He only can do that. And for that, all the devotees, they pray. You can see in the prayers of Narada, he said, it's not by my own endeavor, just by Uchishta Anulepanat. By just taking mere dust of lotus feet of dear devotees and their remnants, I was able to come over the illusory energy of their Lordship. What Kunti Maharani says, Maya Javanika Channam Natanatya Dharoyata. Only it's you and your mercy can clear away the curtain of Maya, and then I can see you. Nato Natya Dharoyata. What Dhruva Maharaj says, I am totally fool and ignorant. I don't know what is good for me. Sthana vilashi tapasistito ham tvam praptavan deva munindra guhyam. Kanchan vichinvam api divyaratnan swamin kruthato asmi varam nayachat. What I was doing? I was aspiring for the biggest position and a place greater than my grandfather Brahma. But what I got it now? Kanchan vichinvan api divyaratnam. I was aspiring for the broken piece of mirror. But what I got it? Divyaratna. That is your darshan. It's you only who can clear the layer of ignorance. Same Dhruva said, I am totally ignorant and I don't know how to pray, how to glorify you. So the Lord, He just touched his forehead with Shankha. Dhruva started with the prayers. The next canto you go, where Prachetas, they are praying. Lord Shiva is praying to their Lordship. See, all the chapters, prayers offered by the devotees, what they indicate? The only one way to get rid of this illusion or ignorance is to take shelter of their Lordship and the dear devotees of the Lordship. And Narada there explains what is the effect of association of pure devotee. Bhagavata sangi sangasya martyanam kim utashisham tulyan lavenapi. Even you get Lava means very, very small part of the second. If you get association of pure devotee, then you get rid of this punarbhava from this material world and you go to a punarbhava from where you can't come back. So that's the effect of association of pure devotee. Martyanam kima utasisham. He says, what a benediction that Lord has given. Bhagavata Sangi Sangasya. Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya means pure devotees of their Lordship. Why? Because Lord is always with them. As Yudhishthira Maharaj says to Vidura, who are you? Tirthi bhuta swayam vibho. Tirthi kurvandi tirthani swanta stena gadabhrata. Because you carry their Lordship in your heart. That's why wherever you go, that becomes a holy place. And holy place has a potency to purify your existence. And it's you. You are the holy place. You are personified of holy place. So when once come in contact with the pure devotee and surrenders himself and take shelter of their lotus feet, then it becomes very easy for him to get rid of ignorance and this material existence. So let's try. Prabhupada has given us such a wonderful platform where we can come, discuss and take association of a wonderful devotees and go back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Any comment, any question, any queries? Yes, bro.
When we're talking about, we have a microphone. We're quoting Madhvacharya, and sometimes him denying the equality of the living entities. He's talking about, or is he talking about us in our material condition? Obviously, is that the point?
Yeah.
As the spirit soul in the spiritual world, they're manifesting qualities of.
That's it. But right now here, because as Mayavadis, they used to say that their way of telling is everything is one. Nothing is different from. But he says no ways. Vedas, they clearly explains about that there is a difference between jiva. When he comes into material world, it's totally different. He can't be a lord. You can't lord it over the material energy even. Forget about becoming Lord. So, the existence right now is totally different. The Lord is totally different from the living entities. You can't be one with them.
That's a good point. Yeah. So, because that oneness is so, it's everywhere.
Sarvagatasthana.
America also. Everybody, all the yogis, everybody's thinking, oh, we're all one, or they want to become one with. So, but give that distinction is good to actually nullify the, even though we are spiritually equal, in our material condition there's no equality. It's not even close.
Not even close. Not in dreams even. Yeah. Okay, any other? Okay.
I want to repeat the 5 elements of prayers in Srimad Bhagavatam because it's very important prayers.
See, actually this 5 subjects of Bhagavad Gita, what has explained. If you read in the preface of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada gives 5 different subjects of Bhagavad Gita. Jiva, Ishvara, Kala, Karma and Prakriti. These 5.
Oh, these are...
See, all the Vedas, even the whole Vedic knowledge is just running around these 5 things, which explains, give description to prove the existence of these 5 things. This is what one has to understand to get rid of this material world.
This is the prayers.
These are the 5 things which are explained in all the prayers. You read it from the Brahma Samhita. In any prayers of our devotees, they are offered in Srimad Bhagavatam. They are just going around these 5 subjects only. Very few of us really know about this, because we don't read Prabhupada books that carefully. If you read all the purports, you will find out of these 5 things only, nothing else. The whole Vedic knowledge running around these 5 things only. Who are we? Jiva. Whom we have to worship? The Lordship. Why we are not doing? Because of material nature. Why we suffer? Because Kala. Which keeps us bound? That is karma. So these are the 5 things only. You read carefully all the prayers offered by devotees. They are explaining about this only. As long as Jiva is not understanding his chaotic position in this material world, he can't pray. If he wants to pray, he should understand for whom he have to offer the prayers. And who is that? That is Ishvara. What is keeping away from Ishvara? That is Prakriti. And what binds us? That is our karma. And Kala, Lord himself, which destroys everything then. That one has to understand. Okay? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Bhagavad Gita.